I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I took a decision. Either I could be very successful in my career in the medical profession and I guess become very rich, or I could try to make a difference to humanity.
When a girl comes to Sunta Secondary School, we always emphasize the development of the heart rather than the head. Jemila got a lot from her mom also. Her mother joined a group of ladies who did social work in the hospital. So I think from the early days, both at home and in the school, Jemila had example. We used to have a thought of the week here on the corridor, which said, words are sound, example is thunder.
We grew up in this extremely diverse background, and I was the last of all the children. My father was, by the time he had me, he was a retired civil servant, and very much a reader, a person who encouraged us to speak well and read widely. My mother, on the other hand, was this really not well educated but extremely smart entrepreneurial woman, very defiant, very strong, who had gone through a lot in life, and then met my father and her life turned around. So one of the biggest and earliest childhood memories I have is our house in Jalan Gasing was a single-story bungalow and a long hallway. And I would wake up at night and see people sleeping in the hallway and turn to my father and say, who are these people, And he'll say, oh, that one came from Johor, is looking for a job. This one is a whole family we're taking care of. This one, he's, all these people who would come, and my parents would always have room and have food for them. One of the things also that I think shaped me was when my father died, and I had to be extremely independent because my mother then going off to run a business and so forth. And one strange thing that she did to me was every year at the end of the year when the school holidays came, and I was maybe 13 or 14, she'd actually give me a bundle of money and a ticket to Singapore and make me look for some of the relatives my father had who weren't so well, so less fortunate than us. And my task was to make sure the children had school books and school shoes and school uniforms, and then I could come back. I was a really, for a 14-year-old being packed off every year, I kind of used to ask my mother, did you not like me? Was I so difficult? I was very rebellious as a child. So, is that why you sent me off? And only when, just before she died, she actually said to me, I always knew you were different. I was watching television with my son, and I kept saying, well, I wanted to help in this disaster in North Korea and Bosnia and everything, and I never went. And I was actually sitting with him, and he was 5 years old, watching the news. He just looked at me very innocently at 5, saying, well, you're a doctor, why aren't you helping them? And that really, I said, he's absolutely right. This is something I've always wanted to do, and there's no excuse now for me.
I told her that why don't you start your own organization that you bring back the experience and also provide a platform to Malaysian, who wanted to do all this good work.
So I always joke as I have a very obedient Muslim wife. My husband tells me to start an organization. I start an organization.
I met Jemila in off and on. Jemila was an emerging figure in the humanitarian world. Having founded Mercy Malaysia, which turned out to be one of the most interesting non-governmental organizations, representing something that one really hadn't thought and understood sufficiently, and that is How do NGOs outside the Western-dominated sector really cope? What can they do? What can they offer? And I certainly think that Jemila gave all of us a very clear insight into what that could be.
When the news of the earthquake broke out, everyone was focusing on Phuket. We called our emergency operations meeting. We sat down and I said, you know, there's no news coming from Aceh and the epicenter is just off the coast. I bet you everything's knocked out. So why don't we make our way there and then send another team to Sri Lanka? So that's what happened. We, just emptied our warehouses and really bit the bullet because it was a time that we didn't really have that much funds. But I remember saying to my team, guys, if this is it, this is our last mission and we close shop, we'll do it really, really well.
When I arrived in Aceh and in the hospital itself, I think there's so many dead bodies and I can see that people are trying to ask for help. I'll straight call Dr. Jemila and I mentioned to her that this is actually the worst ever mission that I have ever been. And I don't know what to do.
When I arrived in Aceh, I was a little bit shell-shocked, to be honest, because it was as though, this huge bomb had dropped on Aceh and everything was completely wiped out. And I had never seen boats on buildings and, bodies everywhere. Still, fresh and some were decomposing and people running around trying to look for loved ones. And it was just so surreal. And, I'm still haunted by some, memories. Like there was a child that was, my son's age who collapsed and came in and he had, just mud and debris in his lungs, just calling out for his mother. And as I was resuscitating him, I thought about my son and I actually had to stop and, get someone to take over and just moved away and wept for a while before coming back. It was just, the needs were just so overwhelming and yet there were so few people there.
Ketika tsunami, sekolah kita ini rata di bawah tsunami. Kemudian kita belajar di tenda, numpang juga di masjid. Kemudian ketika itu Dr. Jemila datang ke masjid menanyakan lokasi sekolah kita yang lama di mana. Dan ketika itu kita memang belum ada NGO yang datang ke kita untuk membantu. Kemudian Dr. Jemila bersama kami rame-rame, para Bapak Ibu Dewan Guru, membawa ke lokasi sekolah ini, kemudian melihat dan Dr. Jemila akan membantu membangun sekolah ini kembali, seperti itu.
Kami karena ada di rumah-rumah beberapa rumah, karena tempat tinggal tidak ada, sehingga Dr. Jemila mengambil keputusan membuat tenda.
One of our young doctors was captured on CNN. And this was transmitted across the world, saying, Mercy Malaysia had these doctors in the hospital and they were treating these patients and so forth. And I think probably that was a tipping point for Mercy Malaysia. It was what triggered really our growth and the brand awareness globally and locally. And more importantly, I think it really pushed us to realize that if we were to sustain Beyond Me, we need to really invest in being an extremely professional organization. Managing disasters is not just about giving assistance. It's about thinking how you connect the dots and how you find the best people around you that will help you, come out with a really, really good result. And above all, always respecting what government authorities and local people feel and making sure they are part and parcel of the solution.
She found me in Aceh. She believed that I have this potential to do more for my society, and she felt the need to to mentor me. She believes in young people and she wants to nurture them. And because she believed that if she could help me, maybe through me, I can actually help others more. And that's actually Dr. Jemila.
It's very important to Jemila that the local people become part of helping each other. And so she works a lot with volunteers. It's very important to her to empower volunteers, to train them, to use them in the work. She's also very pragmatic in developing local solutions that are creative and not necessarily just providing aid, but provide empowerment to help people help themselves.
We work with local masons, with the government agencies, with international organizations, with business sector, trying to tell them that, we need to think now that we're not going to rebuild risk. And that has been my mantra for the longest time, that it's not just about going in to give assistance, it's about making sure we leave communities stronger than they are, and that we need to build resilience.
Jemila, I think, is a rare species in a way. She has something very particular, which I think is very special. I think it's in her DNA. Not only is she a very kind person, I mean, everybody would say that about her. I mean, she's one of the warmest personalities I know. But in fact, she is also someone who represents and who lives humanitarian principles and humanitarian values.
She not only understands what their current sufferings are and their needs are, but actually be able to see beyond and give them a direction and hope.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you happy to be here? Yes. My name is Dr.Jemila.
A really interesting part, because of her work in Mercy Malaysia, Tan Sri Jemila is actually in the current textbooks. So when she went into the classroom, all the kids and teachers got really excited about it, and the kids asked her to sign their textbooks, because like someone you're reading in a textbook is suddenly showing up in your class to talk about their work. So that was really inspiring as well.
I think the most memorable one for me was in Bam, Iran. And that was early days for me, and I had just gotten to know her. And it was 3 weeks into the mission, and she called and she asked what we needed. I said there was a lot more that we needed to do, and I told her that we have to secure permission to continue with our work. And immediately she made the decision to say, she decided and said, okay, I'll go there and help you. When she came in, and the minute she walked into the tent, the man was suddenly, open to the fact that Mercy Malaysia was there, and she sat and spoke with him and assured him that we were here for the long term. We wanted to, rebuild the community, and immediately we got the permission to actually stay on. So that was memorable in the sense that, that was the first time I witnessed how, Jemila could actually bridge the relationship with even the toughest of authorities.
I remember one day when Dr. Jemila called me when I'm in Banda Aceh and told me, Azam, when are you coming back to KL? So I said, why, Dr. Jim? No lah, I just want to see you. She told me that she wants to take me for lunch and she wants to treat me in KLCC. So I said, okay, why? Why you want to do this? Because that time I'm very sad for me, for a person like Dr. Jemila, who really want to take care. He knows like I'm already 3 years for me to stay in Banda Aceh. It's very hard for me to sometimes to really think of what is actually best to do sometimes in life. And I don't know how she knows that time that I'm thinking like that. And she, like what I said, she's like mother. She feels that she listened to us.
In 2009, on my 10th year as the founder and president of Mercy, I decided that it's time for me to step down. But it's never easy. It's like having a child and letting go. But I knew it had to be done. And I was looking around for something to do, and the opportunity came up that I was, was basically headhunted for this job as a chief of humanitarian response at UNFPA. And after 2 years, I thought, no, this is not for me. It's a great learning experience, but I'm very much action-oriented. People ask me what I do now, and sometimes it's really hard to explain. I guess I don't have a fixed job. I am a visiting senior fellow at King's College in London at the Humanitarian Futures Program. I also am a senior fellow at Khazanah National Berhad in its Khazanah Research and Investment Strategy. I think much of my time is spent really sitting on many boards and advising, and also trying to influence change in organizations. My next role really is, as much as I miss being in disaster sites, I think I need to download my information and knowledge in my head. I need to build new leaders. I need to play a role now in influencing change, influencing governments and other international actors and national actors, and really start writing my book at some stage, and documenting the journey that I've been on, and hopefully inspire younger people.
I suppose everybody knows that when she went to Iraq and they were attacked on the road, and the bullet that went through her colleague lodged in her, instead of being admitted in the hospital, she carried on and she left the bullet inside and even delivered a baby and waited till she came back to Malaysia. To me, that is really living her motto, her school motto, ad veritatem per caritatem, which means to truth through charity. And are very proud of the fact that one of our past pupils who has lived this most fully is Dr. Jemila Mahmood.
One of the things that always makes me quite happy, but in a sense also sort of surprised, is how many people I know from my own office, people that I work with, talk about Jemila in a most positive way, almost as if there was a kind of light that guided them to her, etc. So I don't know what drives her. I think that would be unfair for me to even try and guess. But I do know that wherever and whatever drives her, her impact has been extraordinary.
It hasn't come without a price. I know how many birthdays I've missed and Eid celebrations, and you miss the years sometimes that your kids grow up and suddenly like they're grown up in front of you, and I always say to them, I seek your forgiveness for that, but I hope you realize that you have to share me with the many million children that don't have a mother to look out for them. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. And that's how I feel right now.
Oh, we met in June 2007 at his graduation party. Basically, from when he saw me from across the room, he decided to date me right then and there. And when he sets his mind to something, he's not afraid to go after it. So we got married 6 months later. Well, he's always had this amazing, devout personality. It's actually one of the qualities I fell in love with from the very beginning. But actually, when I take a step back and think about it objectively, it's bordering on obsessed. I mean, it's come to the point where it's affecting our marriage. His priorities are all wrong. He has become infatuated. You know, the other day he said to me, "This is what real love must feel like." I should have never bought him those cameras.